Hello, everyone. Welcome. This is our first workshop for the fall, and it is, as the title implies, posture, alignment, and balance. So we're gonna start. You're going to need a chair, or maybe like a stool that, like the one I have. Sorry, Facebookers, you probably can't see it there. So make sure that you don't have it doesn't have a back, so you're a little bit more comfortable. Or if it does have a back, it should also have like an opening, so it's not full back. You can place a hand there comfortably. And if you see me stopping, especially you guys on Facebook, it's probably because I'm letting somebody in on Zoom. So keep going, and I'm gonna meet you where you're at. So um, how I wanted us to think of posture is going to be our little introduction before we get start before we start moving. I want us to think of posture as relationship, as a relationship between the different parts of the body that gets facilitated through the spine. So if we are talking about a relationship, we want to see the how we can, uh, as we move, have healthy relationships between the three major parts, major volumes of the body, meaning the head, the torso, and the hips. And this way, the posture and the spine shapes and changes accordingly for us to be able to move through the different poses, or the different sequences. So in this way, we're not putting ourselves into trouble. So with that in mind, and just for today, and I'm going to explain why I'm saying that. I want you to give the tools that I'm going to be sharing with you a chance. So give them a try. And the reason I'm saying that is I can't be in the same room with all of you. So that makes things a little bit difficult. I can't see every little habit that each one of us has, and whether that is healthy or unhealthy. So, but of course, you can message me your questions, thoughts, trouble that you might be experiencing, and then we can have a more one-on-one discussion. But for now, give those tools a try. It doesn't mean that you erase everything that you know, everything that you build on this until now. It's just that maybe we try something different for today. See how it works out, and then see how it might affect our perception, our dancing, our movement. And so, just there we go. Sorry about that. Just let's um, let's get started. And I'm going to just move back a little bit further away from you. You won't need any shoes. Oh, sorry, Facebook, you need to be adjusted so you can actually see. There. You won't need any shoes for now. You might want to have your shoes close by for later. So if you were with me on Thursday, you've probably seen this already. If you were not, that's okay, because we're going to be working working on these two movements to start. So I wanted us to focus again on this midsection of the body. So where your thoracic spine, this is your thoracic, changes to lumbar. This is your lumbar. So in this section, focus in this section midway. So for us in tango is where you are leading and following from. So this band, yes? So we're gonna focus there, and we're gonna start with flexion and extension. And I want you to kiss the edges, kiss the limits. So you're gonna feel that you can't go anymore. Or if you were to go more, you would have to involve the rest of the spine. Don't go there. Just test the limits of that joint, going from flexion to extension. And when you go into extension, you feel that limitation coming a little bit sooner. And as you're kissing those edges, let's do it a couple more times. Now start noticing where you usually stand. This is going to be different for everyone. So maybe you usually stand with an extended spine, your habit. Notice where your habit is, how you habitually stand. Or maybe you stand more in flexion. Okay, notice where you're at. And then from that point, you go flex and extend. Flex and extend. Okay. And it's going to be different for every one of us, that point. Flex and extend. Try not to involve the rest of the spine, because then that becomes a little bit, it obscures the picture for that specific area. Good. And if we got it, I want you now to shift your focus to where the middle is for that movement. So you have this whole range, and the range will be different for each of us. So you have this whole range, or I have this whole range. I now, as I'm moving between the two edges, going to identify the middle and then keep going. So identify the middle and keep going. And you will notice that you have way more flexion than extension. And you'll also notice that flexion comes with this invitation to move back. We're not going there, but it's an invitation to move back. And extension comes with an invitation to move forward. But for now, we just want to identify the middle. So where you're not going into extension and you're not going into flexion, the middle of that movement. Let's do a couple more. And if you're not, if you can't find the middle, you just need a little bit more time, which I will grant you in just a second. Extend and flex and extend. So settle in the middle and take a moment to notice the shape of your lumbar and how that is balanced from the shape of your thoracic spine. The lumbar is convex, and the thoracic is concave. So you want those two to be balanced out for forces to run smoothly down the spine. So notice that relationship, and we're gonna go and make our way up, passing through this wave. So flex, and now we're gathering everything in. So we're gonna bring the whole spine into this game and extend. Notice the middle, keep the extension going, and then come up and sit back down. Gather and emerge. So feel as if you're wearing a sweater and you're coming up. And come back down. And gather and emerge. And as you're sitting back down, notice that you're not letting go, because if you're going to let go, it's going to be like falling into the void. Instead, you're balancing that out with a secondary emerging pattern. So notice how this is again extension. You sit Flexion together and emerge, extend, and that takes your body forward and your hips back. And you can, in a balanced way, make your way down. Let's do it one more time, and we're gonna stay up. Good, stay up. And let's move here. Doing exactly the same movement. Noticing again the edges, kiss the limits. And then try to avoid getting all the way to the edge. So you're exploring this neutral zone. What is between the full flexion and the full extension? Just notice the space. Notice how that changes the distribution of your weight on your feet. Let's do one more. And then come to middle. And take a moment again to just be here. And notice where your head is in relation to your torso and where your torso is in relation to your hips. And we're gonna put some music on. That's why I said you have plenty of time to explore it. I'm just gonna come closer. There we go. So you have plenty of time to explore what we just did. I'm gonna leave it up to you. I'm not going to choreograph the whole movement. So spend some time sitting, explore the space between full extension and full flexion, and try to acknowledge the middle. So as if you are, imagine you have an axis. Let me just stay close to you so you see this point. You have an axis going parallel to the floor, and around this axis that is going like my arms are, you're swinging around it. So you're doing this. So you want to see where 0, 0 is. You're not into flexion and you're not into extension. You're not, vice versa. You're not into extension and you're not into flexion. You're right at 0. See if you can acknowledge that point. Okay, here we go. Let's put some music on. Feel free to stand, sit, and stand as many times as you like. Do this a couple of times sitting, and then a couple of times standing, and we start over. Play. Oops. No. Ready?
I tried for you, trying to see through walls. It wouldn't move. What could I do? I touch your head to pour your thoughts into my hand, but now I can't. Say, isn't it strange? Isn't it strange? I am still me. You are still you. In the same place. strangers again. Back to this room, back to our room. Why did we lose? Why did we lose? If I could, I'd pull your strings for one more dance, but I can't. Say, isn't it strange? Isn't it strange? You look at me, I look at you, with nothing to say. Isn't it strange how people can change from strangers to friends, friends into lovers, and strangers again. Then the silence steals over to my bedside, and it whispers who I am. That violent disclosure turns my inside, stops me when I try to stay. Isn't it strange how people can change from strangers to friends, friends into lovers, and strangers again.
All right. Okay. Let's hit pause. Hit pause. There. So, if you're not standing, stand. And let's do the same thing for the hips. So imagine you have this horizontal axis like this, and you want first to identify where you habitually stand. So the hips roll around this axis, right? And maybe you've already felt it, like when we were sitting, how your hips wanted to, you felt that relationship between the hips and the torso, how they wanted to move along, or a pose, or whatever it is that they were doing. So now we're going to look at the hips and notice around this axis where your hips stand. It's not going to look like mine. It's just going to be what it is for you. Not right or wrong, just what it is for you at this moment. And from wherever you are, you're going to go into flexion and go into extension. And if it helps you, you can place a hand on your coccyx or sacral curve, so the lower end of the spine, and just to capture the movement. And you're going into flexion and extension, and flexion and extension. And you know that a lot of people, you probably noticed that a lot of people have the tendency to go into full flexion when they stand. And also a lot of people have a tendency to go into full flexion when they stand. So identify if you are at the one range or the other, for just to acknowledge the limits, and then move and notice the range.
Notice the space. So notice that neutral zone in between. So not at the end of extension and not at the end of flexion, but noticing what is happening in between, and try not to involve the rest of the spine because again, feedback gets a little bit disrupted. you can't receive clear feedback from this lower lumbar area. Okay, and keep going. And as you keep going now, shift your focus to find the middle. So again, where you have 0, 0 point, not going into flexion, not going into extension. Try to acknowledge the middle. And then you keep going. So you acknowledge the middle, and then you keep going. You acknowledge the middle, and then you keep going. Let's do maybe 2 more. And don't worry, we're going to have plenty of time to work on this with the music. So now find middle and notice that new relationship between your hips, your torso. Notice also that there is a slide there, you're not in full extension in the hip joint. So that is a relationship that goes into other parts of the body. Your knees are not in flexion fully, but not also in extension. So they're soft, as we would say. And your weight is somewhere over the middle of the foot compared to when you were at the edges, where when you're in full flexion, your weight is more towards your heel. And when you're in full extension, your weight is more towards the front. So in 0, 0, you're over the middle of your foot. Okay. And now let's put the two together. So you have flexion and extension here, and you have flexion and extension here. And now these two are going to come together, and we're going to swing around these two horizontal axes here on your hips and your torso. So flex and extend. And for both of these areas, identify the middle, but also notice how they work together. Middle and extension, middle and flexion, middle, extension, middle, flexion. So it's not where you usually stand. You're identifying where the middle is in this neutral zone between flexion and extension, in this range. Let's do 2 more. The last one. And find middle. And notice that in middle, you're probably into your tango position. If you're dancing salon. You might be dancing other styles of tango that it requires more extension. But if you're dancing salon, you're probably already there. Okay. So let's take a seat once again. And I'm just going to add on, then we're going to put the music on and put it all together. So let's go. We did this axis, the horizontal one. And now I want us to go around the sagittal. So imagine that there is an axis going from me to you and from my back to the fireplace. And we're going around that axis now. This is very much part of our walking, these movements, both flexion and extension and side tilt, and of course rotation. So very gently touch the limits. So once you start feeling a stretch, you've gone too far. And notice also the space in between. And notice that when you go into side tilt, your hips are rotating on your seat slightly. That is because side tilt and rotation are coupled in the spine. And you can use muscle to make it look like to stop that from being expressed. But for today, I just want you to let that happen. If you can. Let it happen. Let it be expressed. And you'll see your heels are wiggling a little bit as you go from side to side. So this is not a class on style, on a tango style specifically. This is for us to determine a healthy posture, alignment, and balance. And then you can make your choices in terms of tango styling. Okay? And now we're going to do the opposite. We're going to rotate the upper body. And you're going to notice that your the hip you're going towards lifts. And again, you can use muscle to cover that up. It happens though in your spine. So keep that in mind that it is happening internally anyways. It's not something that you can stop from happening. It's just that you can cover it up so it doesn't show. But for today, I just want us to let that be visible just for now. Explore it. You'll notice also it's not a big movement. We're sitting just for us to get more feedback, because when you're sitting on a chair, it's a little bit easier to feel that. And this is your basic concept for locomotion when you're walking. So it's almost like now we're walking on a chair. Okay. Good. So let's put all of these nice things into action. And we're going to go and rotate around. Actually, let me turn this way so you can see me a little bit better. And we're going to let that tilt happen also. Rotate. That's why I said you need a chair that you can place a hand on. And emerge to come up. And then when you make your way back down, again, don't go reaching for the chair right away. Find that emerging pattern. Let one leg swing back and come back down. So basically we have the flexion and extension, side tilt and rotation, all of them together in one action. So let me show it to you in the other direction. You start, you build that rotation, and then you emerge up. And then to emerge down, you have the side tilt, and the side tilt is coupled with a rotation in the hips. So you end up like this. And down, and up, and so I'm gonna put some music on so you can enjoy a little bit more. Take your time. Sorry, two cameras are not. There we go. So take your time playing with the different axes. So going, just playing with the rotation, side tilt, flexion, and extension in the upper body and the lower. And when you feel ready, you go into that up and down motion. Again, a little side note. I cannot see you, unfortunately. This is the only problem with this medium. But try to notice where you're starting from. Maybe you are already in, say, too much flexion. So there's no more flexion in there. Acknowledge that, and then see if you can build that awareness of the range, and then see if you can move away from what you habitually um, have as a posture to where middle is. And then once you define the middle, then you can see how much actual range you have in there, towards extension or towards flexion. The same goes for side tilt and rotation. Okay, here we go. Let's put the music on. Yeah, this is nice.
Si tienes un hondo penar, piensa en mí. Si tienes ganas de llorar, piensa en mí. Ya ves que venero tu imagen divina, tu párvula boca que siendo tan niña me enseñó a pecar. Piensa en mí cuando sufras, cuando llores, también piensa en mí. Cuando quieras quitarme la vida, no la quiero para nada, para nada me sirve sin ti. Piensa en mí cuando sufras, cuando llores, también piensa en mí. Cuando quieras quitarme la vida, no la quiero para nada, para nada me sirve sin ti. Piensa en mí cuando sufras, cuando llores, también piensa en mí. Cuando quieras quitarme la vida, para nada, para nada me sirve sin ti.
let's hit pause here. So, sorry about that. Okay. So if you can put the chair away, so you can use all the space. If you have enough space, of course, yeah, you wouldn't need to move around. So let's put that more into walking, because I did mention to you that these movements are part of our working routine, and I'm sure that this one you can identify is what we call locomotion, is the more common one. So contralateral movement, basically opposite arm to leg. But the point is how we get there. And let's start from this basic movement, break it down a little bit, even though it's quite chaotic. So when you go like this, we mentioned that rotation is coupled with side tilt. So the same shoulder to hip, they come closer together. So that brings us to this movement. So rotation, always coupled with a side tilt. If we were to break the basic movements around our three axes when we walk, we would have rotation, we would have side tilt, and we would also have flexion and extension. This emerging pattern as we walk, and we'll see how all of them, they come together. So I'm going to put the music on, short song, and I want you to play with these movements. 1, 2, and 3. And notice one little asterisk, that this is basically, why are we going into walking? It's because naturally the posture, we don't need just posture to do what are we doing? So you need to see it in a certain context. Choosing walking is like, it fits for tango, so that's why we're doing it. But it's also something that we do on our daily lives. So break it down, three axes, 3 movements, and then we're gonna come back together. Here we go. Yeah, this is nice.
Nasceu, põe uma estrela que cata a brilhar, e na mar põe uma areia que cata a molhar, espanhol desse mundo fora, só vai chilar, terra povo cheia de amor, tem morna, tem coladeira, terra sal cheia de amor, tem batu, tem funaná, espanhol nesse mundo fora, só Rotimar, terra povo cheia de amor, tem morna, tem coladeira, terra povo cheia de amor, tem batu, tem funaná, oi tanto saudade, 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 oi tanto saudade, saudade sem fim, oi tanto saudade, 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 oi tanto saudade, saudade sem fim. estrela que cata brilhar e na mão boeu areia que cata molhar espanhol nesse mundo fora só rotimar terra pouco cheio de amor memória na decoladeira terra sal cheio de amor tem batuque, tem funanã espanhol nesse mundo fora só rotimar terra pouco cheio de amor memória na decoladeira terra pouco cheio de amor tem batuque, tem funanã petit pays je t'aime beaucoup petit petit je l'aime beaucoup petit pays je t'aime beaucoup petit petit je l'aime beaucoup.
All right. Okie dokie. Pause. So you probably noticed, let me turn you this way. You probably noticed that when you're doing one movement, the other ones are creeping in. And that's okay. That's absolutely normal. We're just saying that, you know what? I'm only going to focus on this one because if your mind is starting to go to the other ones, it gets a little bit convoluted. You don't have a clear. It's too much stimuli. Let's put it that way. So we're just saying, I know that other things are happening. I'm just focusing on this one thing right now, just so I can have some data, some results. So if you wish to put heels on, I'm just gonna put them on just for fun. If you wish to put heels on, go ahead. If not, you can still, there's not gonna be an issue, not a problem. Stay as you are. Totally up to you. People not in heels, again, you choose. I'm just mentioning heels because those are the shoes that give us a little bit of extra trouble, you know. So, okie dokie. Here we go. Still see me? Yes. Let me just adjust this camera a bit again. Okay. Alrighty. So let's see. When we're doing a back step, let's start with a back step because that's a part where things are very clear, very evident of what's happening in the body. So start first with finding that point 0. And on heels, things are going to be different because you're already in a different position. Your weight is pushed forward. So you need to spend a little bit more time finding where the 0 is and aligning, again, these 3 volumes, hips, torso, and head. Most of the time, most common mistake is that we go too far forward. Then we get very heavy for our partner. And this is actually putting a lot of stress in our spine and hips as well. So try to find 0. And then from 0, let's go and extend one leg back. I'm going to do it facing you. And I want you for today to identify those 3 movements. I know that in terms of style, maybe you're choosing to keep hips and his shoulders square and all of that. That's a matter of styling, but we're looking at posture based on our anatomy, okay? So for today, I want you to find those 3 axes the movements around those three axes. And notice that when you extend that leg, you have rotation. You have side tilt. This hip is lifted, and that's how you can keep your balance over the other one without straining. There we go. And you also have extension. And then you start. Okay. So let's start again. I'm just gonna stay like this for now. So change over to the other side and find the rotation. Find also that the free hip is higher than the standing one. So you're already in a tilt prior to extending back. And when you extend back, the only thing that changes really is you're going into counterlateral. So you have rotation in the upper body, like so. So you start from here, where your upper body is facing the free leg, and you're going to upper body facing the standing leg. And you also have extension. And you take a step back. Again. I'm just going to do it a couple times, not giving you any cues, letting you play with it a little bit. Notice also that, remember this, when we were going either about to get up from our chair or going down to our chair, was a little bit deeper, but it's actually exactly the same pattern, only more exaggerated because we were going to sit down. So it's exactly the same pattern, only I'm not sitting down anymore. It's smaller and I'm just going back. But the pattern is exactly the same. And for people who are usually leaders in tango, maybe you're not going back as much. So this is extra good practice for you. So you might need, you might need some time adjusting. So here we go. We're going to do forward in just a second. Let's do two more, one for each side. Don't go straight for the extension. Feel this moment of coming together, again, bringing things together and emerging. Okay, there we go. Bringing things together and emerging. Last time, bringing things together and emerging. And back. And step. Okay, so as we are, let's go straight into forward steps, and then we're going to put some music on and dance. So forward, we have, again, this moment of lifting, rearranging, realigning so we can actually step. So like we did in the back step, we have to shift the weight over to one foot, and there we have the free hip again, coming slightly higher than the standing hip. We also have this is for same for both forward and back, a soft axis, so we're not hyperextending knees and hips. This is a common habit for a lot of people. And again, it goes back to styling, but we're looking at anatomy. We're not looking at style. So in terms of anatomy, you want to have a softer chain for a variety of reasons, one of which is you want to push off this leg. So if you're ready on hyperextension, is going to give you a very short step. So we're here. And then this leg swings in. This is where we need, as we go from 2 feet to 1 foot, we need this locomotion. Because you want your heel to come close to your center line without though crossing your legs. So here we go. Up, step. So we have here side tilt and rotation. And then this leg swings through and you're in a little bit of flexion here. As you step, you're going to go into extension. Again, this emerging pattern. Let me step a little bit closer to you. There we go. So you can see this a little bit better. So you're here, emerge, and come together. And 2 feet, 1 foot, side tilt and rotation. You're going to notice one shoulder is further forward than the other one. Brings the heel to the center line of the body. Step and emerge. To swing through. Let's do it 4 times. 4 times. You can go slower or faster than me. That's totally up to you. But explore all these different phases. Last time. One last thing. I know it's a lot of information, but you'll have the recording afterwards anyway, so you can go back to it many times. Last part, and then we dance it all out. So we did this. We did our step. We merged, and this is a very common, let's call it common mistake, because it goes against the structure of our body. What usually happens is we're stuck in this. And then we don't have any energy for the free leg to come through. Let me give you an example so you'll see. It's very stiff, basically. So it's this, our body though is very smart. It knows that to continue through, we need elasticity. To swing and feel that you have a continuous flow. So, thankfully, we have that built in. Phase 1, phase 2, and look what happens. Before you continue with contralateral movement, you have a homolateral point. Spot in this walking pattern. So your posture changes again, and this is your engine. Pre-swing, let me do it facing you, And then I want you to give it a try. You go here, you step. You don't want to be stuck here. You want to give yourself that little bit of a kick, swing through. So let's try this together for a moment. Place your feet in a staggered position. More weight over the front leg. So you're already like, you almost just finished the forward step. And you have to build. This is called in kinesiology pre-swing. Pre-swing. So feel that you're building your engine before the next step. So we do it this way. Staggered position for the feet. You're more forward. Pre-swing. So your heel kicks back and the same shoulder and hip, they're going away. Away. They're doing this, almost like a bow and arrow. And it's that moment where you have homolateral movement. And step forward. Let's do two more, one for each leg. I'm gonna be in a diagonal so you can see it. One more. And staggered on the other side. More forward. Build it. Feel that it's not flexibility, it's an elastic band, it's elasticity before you take that step. Build your motor, build your engine, boom, and step. Okay, and I'm away out of the camera. All right, so we're gonna close this with a dance, of course. Try to see if you can put all these nice things in there. Don't get frustrated if things are not coming together as you expected. I know we spent an hour on this, so maybe the expectations are high, but these things take a little bit of time. So try to notice, see if you can instill a few new elements in there, and just enjoy. So music. This nice and sweet. a lot of information. Let me turn you guys this way. I hope you enjoyed it. Oh, there, managing two cameras here. You can reach me at chrisa.assis@bautanz.com if you have any questions and feedback and thoughts and light bulb moments. I would love to read them all. And next week, our regular classes are starting. They're going to be on a Saturday. You can find all of that information at bautanz.com, and they're going to be on posture. So we're going to be expanding more and more on these themes. So thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much for joining. Look out, a recording of this class and a download link will be sent out to the subscribers of our community, bautanz.com. So if you want to have it, I know some of you are already on it. I see the little names. So, but if someone is not there, join and you'll get the video very, very soon. So thank you. Have a lovely, lovely Sunday.